looking nice. How are you?
Good, you?
Yeah. You can hold this. It can be your...
Oh, I've got a personal one.
Yeah. Right, here we are in London with the magnificent Frank Smith. Frank, it's been a minute. I know there's loud music in the background. It is good to see you.
Do you want me to get it turned down?
No.
I don't want to ruin the vibes, do we?
No, we don't want to ruin the vibes.
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm loving this. I'm very well.
So am I.
Tell me, what inspired this event? So many fighters that you've invited here today with the media. What are Matchroom up to?
Today, we've signed a 5-year extension with our global broadcast partners, Dazn, running until 2031, the summer of 2031. It's going to be a great ride. It's been a great ride so far. We started in 2018 in the US. We signed around the world in 2021 when we left Sky. And we got another 5 years. And I'm so excited about what the future holds. It's a great time for the sport of boxing, and things are flying right now. We've got all our fighters down here. Going to have some talks with a few, with Eddie and Ed McCarthy from Dazn and various fighters we've got coming down. So it's exciting times for the sport.
The fact that you trendsetted with Dazn, you guys, you know, you burst that bubble, you popped the cherry with them. I always thought, and this is me, I always thought Matchroom are going to get itchy feet. They're going to try and innovate somewhere else. But what was it that made you say, like you said, with the global home of boxing, Dazn?
Because we believed in the vision. It was always about the vision they had, and it was always about, you know, taking yourself out of the comfort zones. I think we've always tried to do things differently to everyone else in boxing. You know, everything we touch, we do it in a different way. But that's because of the kind of business we are. We're not just a boxing promoter. We organise 400 events a year across 9 different sports, and we saw the vision with Dazn. We believed in the vision. And they've been great partners and invested heavily into the sport that we love. And for us, we made that move, and it was a risk. Of course it was a risk, but it was a risk that's worked out, and one we, like I say, we believed in, and we believe even more so in the vision of where things are going with them.
Just to remember how many years ago that you signed that, and we started to see Dazn on Instagram, we started to see all of the presenters, and it was everything was flooded with Matchroom. You, like I said, you guys were there, babies. How has it been? And fair enough, you can give me the diplomatic answer. It's great to have all of the promoters there. But what is it like having to share your broadcaster with everybody else practically now, isn't it?
It shows it's working. It shows that the decision we made was right. Because everyone knew, you know, a number of people throughout the years, obviously, when we first made the move, questioned our move. But like I say, we believed in the vision and saw where it was going. And now to have all these other, it's great for the sport of boxing. If we can bring it together, if we can make more fights. Have we always seen eye to eye with various competitors? No. But if we can make great fights and move the sport forward in the right direction and create a global home of boxing in Dazn, that's the focus for us. So yeah, it's a great journey we're on, and so excited about where we continue to go from here. When you look at the way the sport has changed over the last 10, 5, even the last 2 years, it's constantly evolving. You have to be able to evolve with those times.
And that's the thing about Matchroom, you seem to be like trendsetters when it does come to evolution. So congratulations for obviously extending that partnership.
Thank you for being here.
Listen, I'm honoured to be invited. But let's talk about your fighters. I've seen some good names on that list that are going to be here. Tell us, I'm going to ask you to talk about, I'm not going to say your top 3, but let's talk about, just pick 3 off there and talk about those.
I haven't seen the full list. You know, they don't share anything with me anymore. But
at least you get invited.
I know, just about, to be fair, just about. I just about crossed the line and get in. But we got some tremendous fighters from top to bottom. Like, you see 3 guys up there today who'll be on the stage in Josh Kelly, who's just won his IBF World title. You got Lewis Crocker, another IBF World champion who defends that soon against Liam Parrow, and Callum Smith, who fights David Morrell on April 18th in Liverpool. Just 3 guys there, you know, but such a wide, amazing stable. You know, we've got a show in Nottingham this week with some of our great stars up there for that show. It's great times to be involved in Matchroom, great fighters and great future as well. It's not just about the stars of today, it's not just about the world champions now, it's about the young guys and girls we're invested in to go all the way through on that journey. Like, for me, we've done the biggest things in the sport over the years, and what drives us forward is working with young fighters from day one and taking them all the way through on that journey to their dreams of where they become a world champion. Just like Dalton Smith, you know, Josh Kelly, although we had the gap in between, you know, from debut all the way through. And that's what we love to do. It's exciting.
And that is what I like. And I was going to ask you about that. Josh Kelly, a fighter that all of us had great hopes for. And obviously when he had the fight, he lost to Avanesian. Everything seemed to change then. He went over to Wasserman, things were looking bright, not as active as we would have liked him to have been. And then you pulled him back. What made you bring him back, except for he's a good fighter?
We've always had a great relationship with Josh. Like, look, there's going to be times throughout everyone's career and life where you don't always align exactly on what the plan or vision is, and that's no harm. You know, sometimes you've got a different plan or a different view to what someone else has. You know, but we've always stayed in good contact with Adam and Josh, and like I said, I've known Josh a long time, since a very young kid, really, and I always thought there'd be the opportunity there, and you know, we always believed in him. You know, and he had this opportunity, and Adam said to me, "Can you make it happen?" And we delivered, and he delivered in the ring. And now he's just in such a great position. It's great to see people like that succeed.
There's a bit of scrutiny around him at the moment because we know that he's signed to fight Boots. That's the fight that we're all talking about. And then there's been a bit of a discrepancy, a bit of a discussion. Well, yeah, I signed to fight him, but I don't necessarily need to fight him next. Talk to us about that and the strategy around that and why it seems to have flipped on its head.
Yeah, no, look, it's a fight he signed up for in terms of the deal of what it would be. But, you know, it's got to make sense for him as well in terms of the time when the fight is. He wants the biggest fights. There's that fight, there's Zayas as well. It's a huge fight. 3-belt unification we'd love to make. So I think let's see how things play out.
I do like the fight with Pat Brown and Dukar. Obviously Dukar up against Jordan Thompson, who's on the same card. Obviously they fought at cruiserweight. A nice, solid test that is for Pat Brown.
Great
Albeit
test.
I know he's dangerous, but it's it's an experienced name that we all know about, isn't it?
The kind of step-ups he needs, you know, as he continues to, if he can go to the you know, the levels we believe he can get to in the sport, these are the kind of fights he needs to come through. But Vasyl Dukar's a tough test. You know, some people look at records too much and don't actually understand the fights and what happened in those fights. Dukar's going to be a proper test for Pat, but we believe he can be a world champion in short order, and you'll see that.
Callum Smith, David Morrell Jr. Absolutely fabulous fight. Obviously we saw what Benavidez did to Morrell previously. It seems like Smith's on a upwards trajectory, put words back in my mouth properly. That fight then, making that fight because it was supposed to be purse bids, it's been talked about for ages, but you finally got it across the line.
It's a big fight to bring to Liverpool.
And it's in Liverpool.
Brilliant fight. I mean, that was always the key for us, was to try and deliver it in Liverpool. You know, we worked hard, and Eddie worked hard with Louis de Cubas, who represents David Morrell. It's a great fight. It's the kind of fights we want to deliver more and more of. I think when you look at the schedule that Dazn's building, not just across our platform, our shows, but across the whole roster of promoters, it is unrivaled. And it's going to continue to grow and build and develop like that.
How do you find it? And I'm going to touch on this finally. Dana White obviously said he expected more, I don't know, more rivalry with the competition. He feels like this is going to be too easy for him. Not quoting him on that, but that kind of comment about him entering the world of boxing and not really meeting any resistance.
I'm not sure what resistance he'd have, though. He's done, you know, 3 shows in front of 300 people in the Apex, but that's you can't question what they've done and what they're going to do massive things. Of course they are. They look at the size of that business, look at what they've done as a business across a whole host of different assets and rights. So they're going to do amazing things. And there's a whole group of very intelligent people behind that, not just Dana White, of course. But I don't think you can say now, oh, it's like beating up babies, which is a weird analogy anyway, because you haven't done anything of any note. And I think if we were putting on those kind of shows in a hall like this in front of 300 people every week, people wouldn't be going, oh, that's unbelievable. There's been some great fights, on the cards, in terms of active, great fights back and forth, but they're not the highest level names. They're not the biggest commercial fights. At the minute, they're using the platform and the brand, and they're using the UFC brands, the WWE brands, the Paramount platform. But it's going to be fun. That's what we're here for. We're here for competition. We're the best promoters in boxing in the world, and we're going to have a lot of fun over the next 5 years.
Do you feel like Riyadh season has got involved in practically all of the promoters? Does it feel like you sort of taught the tricks of the trade, the lessons around boxing. And then His Excellency just went over to Dana White and says, yeah, got the recipe, got some money, I'm going to back you. Does it feel like that?
We're still doing a lot of stuff, obviously, with Riyadh season, with, you know, working on the shows as well. I think His Excellency works with all promoters and all different avenues of boxing. He loves and has a passion for boxing. So I don't look at it like that. You know, I think it's taken His Excellency to come into the sport for Dana White to actually get involved, because he's spoken about it for 7 years without actually doing it. You know, so that's been the major push there. You know, obviously Sella heavily involved, of course, in the Tico business. Zuffa Boxing business, apologies. And look, it's interesting times, and I think for Eddie to have a competitor like Dana White, there's no one else that can rival him but that man.
Excellent. Listen, Frank, always a pleasure. Great to speak to you. And once again, thank you to
Thank you very
Matchroom
much.
for the invite.
Thank you.